Hello friends, this video on Organisms and Population Part 25 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. The next type of relationship that we will talk about is the competition. So competition, as we all know, is a process in which the fitness of one species is significantly lower in the presence of another species. So let's say if you are the only one who is dominating your house right now, then let's say your friend also comes and starts staying with you in the house. So what will happen? The resources are limited, so it is like a competition between you and your friend. So whenever the resources remain limited, but instead of two species start fighting for the same resources, there arises competition. So let's take the example of a tiger and a lion. Now, a tiger and a lion both feeds on the same deer. So there exists a competition between the two. Now, whoever is more capable, more powerful will win over the deer and will get it. And what will happen to the other one? The other one will remain deprived of the deer, it will remain deprived of the food, and therefore it will lose out in the competition. So in a competition, it is always one species which will win over it and the other one will lose. So with that concept in mind, this competitive exclusion principle was brought into place, which said that two closely related species competing for same resources cannot coexist indefinitely. That means two species which are very similar, which need similar resources and which are competing for the same resources, they will not exist together for a very long time. So one of them will finally lose out. And which one will lose out? Obviously, competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. So this was the principle which was given, which clearly stated that two species cannot coexist if they are competing for the same resource. So in this case, let's say these two people, she is powerful and he is weak. So she will always win and he will not be able to survive in that place. But later, quite a few modifications have come into place, and now we talk about different concepts like resource partitioning, where we say that no, it is not like that. Two closely related species competing for the same resource can also coexist together. It is just that they need to utilize the resources in different ways. Maybe even if they are competing for the same resource, what they can do is maybe one of them will utilize the resource at one specific time, the other species will utilize the same resource at some other time. So that way both of them can coexist. So no elimination would be needed. So that was about the competitive exclusion principle. So let's look at these birds. So let's say all of these birds wanted something to eat, but they found that if they were fighting for the same thing, it was becoming a trouble for both of them. So what they did, maybe a few of them who have stronger beaks, they can start feeding on seeds, the other one can start feeding on the worms, and that's how they have reduced competition and they existed together. Even for those who eat worms, they can also partition their time. So few of them would eat worms during the day, the others would eat the worms during the night. So that way they can get food for themselves and all of them can survive together. And now let us talk about the last type of population interaction, that is commensalism. So commensalism is that relationship in which one organism is benefited while the other is neither benefited nor harmed. So only one will be benefited and it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect in any way to the other organism. So let us look at this example of sea anemone and the clownfish. So if in the ocean, it has always been observed that the clownfish always tries to stay very close to the sea anemone. Do you know why? That's because the sea anemone has its tentacles and these tentacles keep moving. And looking at these tentacles, a lot of other aquatic organisms do not come near the sea anemone. And these moving tentacles sort of give protection to the clownfish. So it remains very close to the tentacles so that it can protect itself from other predators which do not come near the sea anemone, looking at the tentacles, and that's how it gets protected from the predators. So basically in this case, the clownfish is benefited because how is it benefited? It gets protection from predators. So that's how it is getting benefited. But do you think the sea anemone is getting benefited? No. The sea anemone getting harmed? No. So there is no impact of the sea anemone. So this is an example of commensalism. So let us have a quick recap on population interactions. So we learned about all these types of interactions, and in everywhere we saw that the relationship between organisms were quite different. For example, when we talked about mutualism, we found that both the organisms were benefited. When we talked about predation, we found that one organism is benefited because it feeds on the other organisms, while the other organism is not benefited. So let me mark it as cross. So the other organism is harmed, in fact. When you talk about parasitism, here also the parasite is benefited because it derives nutrient from the host's body, but the host is harmed because the host is losing its nutrients, losing its resources because of the parasite. When you talk about competition, so in competition both the species are harmed. That's because whenever there exists competition, it is like both of them are harmed. And finally, the inferior one sometimes gets eliminated. But otherwise, like let's say in one particular area, right now you have one tree. So only one tree is present in this area. So the tree gets all the sunlight, all the water, all the nutrients of that area. Now, as soon as you plant another tree in very close vicinity of this tree, what happens? This tree gets impacted because now it has to share the resources with another tree. This tree also gets impacted because this also has to share the resources with the first tree. So both of them are like kind of harmed. So both of them are negatively impacted. When you talk about commensalism, one organism is benefited, but there is no impact on the other organism. So the other organism is neither benefited nor harmed. Thank you. Please visit www.examfeo.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.